Persona 5 is one of my favorite JRPGs of all time, bursting with style, outstanding music, fantastic characters, and no doubt the peak of turn-based combat. It's a legendary title and an absolute treat from Atlus. The title marries traditional RPG gameplay with a great social simulator system on top of telling a poignant and engaging story. Mostly.
We will take the treasure!
Persona 5 is one of the first games I platinumed on my PS4, and I did the exact same with Persona 5 Royal when that was released. I was so excited for it that I even got the big boy version. Look at that, isn't that? Look at this, I think it's cool. I think it's really cool, and it makes me look cool also. This was $200. It's safe to say I'm a complete sucker for Persona 5. To me, it is near perfection. The largest takeaway from Persona 5 to me is the bleeding edge turn-based combat system the game features. It's blazingly quick, intuitive, stylish, and most importantly, it's so damn fun. I'm aware RPGs are inherently grindy to a point, especially when you're going for platinum, but I sunk over 160 hours between Vanilla and Royal into Persona 5, and not once did it feel like a chore. The core gameplay is just outstanding. I can't emphasize that enough. It puts nearly every new turn-based combat game to shame. You can't be doing this anymore. You gotta be doing this.
Looking cool, Joker!
Go ahead.
Not over yet! We're done here. Let's go! Nice work, team!
Since Persona 3, every title has gotten one or two spin-offs. These spin-offs are usually genre swaps and feature stories that are mostly non-canon or at least do not further any of the main character's story significantly. And a lot of them have to do with dancing. That all changed with Persona 5 Strikers. Persona 5 Strikers is a direct sequel to Persona 5, canonically continuing the story of the Phantom Thieves. Since Strikers was in development at the same time as Royal, certain events and characters aren't acknowledged in the game, but honestly, there never came a point where it's particularly noticeable to me, and it is considered fully canon. Seeing as how Persona 5 Royal has over double the sales of Strikers, not even including vanilla sales, it seems not as many people ended up playing through the sequel to one of the greatest RPG releases in years. Was this because it was marketed largely as a spin-off and got overlooked, or because Strikers is lacking as a follow-up to Persona 5? Let's take a look. Striker's story takes place only 4 months following the events of 5. Ren, yes, I'm referring to him as Ren, there's a character in Strikers with the name Acura, and Persona manga is always written before the games are finished. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Ren returns to Tokyo with his funny cat for summer vacation, to reunite with his pals and go on a camping trip around Japan. Everybody has adopted this new high-tech AI assistant known as Emma, and that all seems fine and dandy, with the gang using it to gear up for their big trip. After an encounter with a Tokyo idol, they attempt to friend her on Emma, using her Emma keyword, when all of a sudden they end up back in the metaverse, staring down what is essentially the new version of palaces, referred to as a jail. In this jail, they meet a new sentient AI friend, Sophia, who helps them navigate the new metaverse situation, and as they uncover more about how it's possible for the metaverse to even exist, it becomes clear that Emma has something to do with it, and it's the Phantom Thieves' job to travel Japan, changing the hearts of the rulers of these jails, all while solving the mystery of Emma. That's the main setup for the story, and I find it to work quite well for a sequel. It's well written and manages to steer clear of ground that was covered largely in 5. It does lose me a bit in the last act of the story by being a little too close to 5's final act, but for the most part the story is entertaining, fresh, and upholds the spirit of 5 very well. No large complaints here. There are plenty of amazing scenes, set pieces, and expansions on the characters you know and love. Just being able to spend more time with the gang makes the cost of Strikers worth every penny. Everybody has a place within the story and has shining moments. It's really great to see the gang back together with their classic banter and brilliant dynamics. Also, Ryuji finally gets to say fuck. Shut the fuck up, idiot! The gameplay of Strikers is hard to approach. There are so many mechanics and systems that are literally exactly the same as 5, but there are also changes to fundamental gameplay as well. Overworld traversal, shopping, equipment mechanics, and dialogue/cutscene navigation are damn near one-to-one. It was such a bizarre feeling to be dropped back into the overworld from 5 and having everything there and accounted for. I've seen a few instances online where people comment on a cutscene or clip from Strikers asking if they somehow missed it in Royal, but nope, it's just that exact. Now, a really important missing fundamental in Strikers is that the social sim mechanics have been completely done away with. There's no time management anymore. No spending time with individual friends to boost your bond or do any other activities. I understand why it's not in the game. I think it's much more suited to the pace of 5, but the lack of it does feel weird and takes away from any pressure to get main tasks done efficiently. Plus, every party member having their own individual storyline separate from just phantom thievery felt essential. I feel like there was plenty of room for Ren to do some catching up one-on-one with his friends in this story. The game tries to supplement this through a new bond system that, in my opinion, just doesn't stack up. You earn bond points through progressing the story and fighting enemies that allow you to assign them to different buffs that normally would be granted through regular Persona social sim stuff or mementos stamps. It works, and the ability to earn these buffs is necessary for staying true to Persona, but the system is definitely lacking. Obviously, the most apparent change here is the combat system. Strikers is a collaboration between Atlus and Koei Tecmo, utilizing the combat system from their Dynasty Warriors series. For those unfamiliar with the Dynasty Warriors formula, it's pretty much a hack and slash that puts emphasis on defeating large hordes over single one-on-one encounters. The personification of the system works pretty well here. Plenty of combat mechanics from 5 are present and function how you'd expect in this format. Joker can still swap personas on the fly, baton passing is now just an at-will press of a button instead of a context-sensitive deal since Strikers isn't turn-based. All-out attacks as well as showtime attacks are present, and Futaba still won't shut the fuck up.
Bingo! That's good now. Perfection. It's a strong one. Exploit its weakness to curve. Joker got his follow-up attack. Bam! Fair warning. Way to follow up on that.
It flows pretty smoothly, and taking down massive amounts of shadows with the gang still feels great. Every party member controls slightly differently and has their own unique special inputs you can unlock by playing with them, and they're impactful enough that you'll be baton passing pretty frequently. It's impressive how well so many 5 mechanics translate to the Dynasty Warriors system. I'd say the only large issue here is that the combo system isn't great, specifically because it's tackling the Persona franchise. Persona combat has a focus on hitting enemy weaknesses, and in Strikers, the input to use a Persona's main skill is really simple: square, 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 triangle. This is consistent throughout almost all of your party, and when you use a Persona skill through a combo instead of selecting it in menu, it costs no SP, which highly encourages you to use this string. So late game, when constantly hammering shadows with their weaknesses is necessary, a mini-boss encounter is usually check enemy weakness, swap to Persona with the right skill, square, 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 triangle, and repeat that until you can pop off an all-out attack or a showtime. There just isn't really a lot of opportunity for mix-ups or long string combos unless you want these fights to last ages. Prior to this point, there's way more freedom to try out cool combos on standard encounters, leaving a chunk of late game encounters feeling a bit robotic. However, for a large portion of the game, combat remains fun and offers players lots of opportunities to experiment with the system. Jails are the new palaces, so how do they work? Well, essentially the same as palaces. Most of them follow the same path: traverse the jail, solving puzzles along the way, and go through 3 special encounters to unlock 3 cores that allow you to progress to the main boss. Special encounters can be either a mini-boss or a hacking mini-game where you face an onslaught of shadows and have to protect Futaba while she hacks something that is stopping your progress. This stays standard for most jails, but there is a handful that deviate and do something entirely unique from this, which helps keep the gameplay fresh. Leaving palaces now doesn't cause any time to pass, and you can do so from a checkpoint whenever you want to come back with a fresh party. I'm not too sure how I feel about this, honestly. On one hand, there's no more social sim aspect here, so time passing wouldn't even really matter, and it makes sense for the story that time can't pass, but on the other, seeing as how easy it is to not use SP in Strikers, I ended up with just a massive supply of SP items left over by the end game, since you can fill up whenever for free. The theming of jails and Strikers is spot on. Nearly all completely unique environments from 5, and they all complement their respective monarchs fantastically. Once again, however, I need to mention they fall off pretty hard theming wise near the end. No spoilers, but if you played the game, I'm sure you thought the exact same thing I did. Overall, I think the new format suits the new gameplay quite well, even though the lack of pressure to manage SP and your party properly to one-day dungeons like in 5 left me feeling a little disappointed, like there was something missing. Another big part of dungeon crawling in Strikers is the request system. In between jails, you'll receive quests in the world with tasks to do for rewards. These tasks range from defeating a powerful shadow, defeating a monarch boss again, defeating a number of specific shadows, defeating a number of shadows in a specific way, collecting treasures, reaching a waypoint under certain circumstances, fusing specific personas for Lavenza, or various tasks in the overworld. For the most part, these are fun ways to go back and explore jails you've previously completed. Jails don't crumble like palaces, so you can come back whenever. The only requests I really had a problem with were the treasure ones. So a lot of the time, the request is for like 15 of the rarest treasure drop in a dungeon. This leads to loading in and clearing the entire jail, hoping to RNG your way into getting it done. And if not, you have to go back to the overworld and load in to do it all again. It's the definition of bloat. It provides no fun challenge or unique approach to encounters. You just have to grind a jail for who knows how long until you luck out. Thankfully, the other request types find ways to offer something new to the experience. There were a few specific ones that were annoying, but not enough to warrant complaining about. I do wish requests had more narrative features baked into them, similar to Mementos requests in 5, but hey, they're still a fun way to spend more time with Strikers. I'd also like to quickly mention that with every jail, there's a new overworld hub for you to explore. Since the gang is on a road trip throughout Japan, you get to explore the city that houses whichever jail you're on at the time. They're not particularly deep, but it's just really cool to walk around all these beautifully done recreations of iconic locations and relax or just chat with your teammates. You're able to shop around whatever city you're in for unique items, but that's about as far as activities to do in them go. Again, not crazy complex, but they serve to break up gameplay quite well, and I just wanted to mention them. Okay. Big rant here. One change I just can't understand at all in Strikers is the complete overhaul of fusion mechanics. In Strikers, you're only able to fuse by result. No picking any two personas from your compendium or stock, only specific personas that meet a level requirement to make the fusion. There are not many recipes to make a certain persona, which already overcomplicates giving inherited skills you want to a persona, and with the stringent level requirement, it's bafflingly clunky. I'm sure this was implemented with the mindset of streamlining the process, but it honestly only makes creating a persona you're happy with into an incredibly grindy process. Personas level very slow in Strikers, and they do not gain levels by fusing since bond mechanics no longer exist. By fusing persona, deleting persona, or gaining persona when you have full stock, you earn persona points, which you can use to raise the level of any persona or their individual stats. The cost of persona points to levels gained ratio is off the charts, and you don't get a ton of persona points through regular gameplay. So say you need a specific persona at a specific level to create a persona you want, which is very common. To raise it to that level, you'll have to go through a persona loop, which is not taught to you by the game. This is something that fans found out, but it's essentially fusing a bunch of low-yen cost personas in a loop so you can farm persona points to spend on leveling the proper persona. It's tedious, and having Lavenza say,
"Please, take your time."
every 30 seconds when you're in the Velvet Room for like 30 minutes at a time is just it's awesome. I love it so much. At least you can use loop personas to make pretty powerful ones you want, but the way Strikers handles recipes still makes that an absolute endeavor. It's far more restricted in a way that completely saps all the fun out of making a persona tailored specifically to your playstyle. Hell, even making a persona that you want at all. After all that said, is Persona 5 Strikers a worthy sequel to Persona 5? I think so, yes. Strikers captures so much of what made Persona 5 fantastic while translating it shockingly well to a new genre. It tells a heartfelt story that seems to become more and more relevant as the years have passed. It's still as addictingly fun as 5 despite taking a massive risk to be different, and that's something the team should be very proud of. It may not reach the same heights as 5, but it certainly delivered a very solid follow-up, full of the Persona 5 charm and jaw-dropping style that every person who played the original desperately needed more of. It's full of all the vibes that made me fall in love with 5, and it was a brilliant way to spend more time with the characters I adore so much. To be honest, one thought kept going through my mind while playing it, and I'm sure it's not an uncommon one. I think if Atlas didn't go the spin-off route with Strikers, and instead it was a full in-house project, same mechanics and gameplay as 5, it could have been outstanding. Maybe a bit more time could have been given to dungeons to keep them more in line with the vein of 5, and of course, cut features would be present. The Velvet Room would make me want to jump off a bridge and kill my... It could have been fully on the level of its predecessor. But Atlas doesn't really do the whole direct sequel thing, and we still got something amazing, worthy of being the sequel to Persona 5. It's beautiful just how much attention and care was put into Strikers to really make it feel like a mainline entry. I avoided playing Strikers for a long time simply because I didn't want Persona 5 to be over. Now that I have played it, I'm really happy I did, and if anybody watching was on the fence about playing it and loves Persona 5, I hope you do too, and that you love it just as much.
It has a little something for everyone.
Hey, thanks for watching. Well, I got you. Please do me a favor and all out attack that subscribe button if you want to see more content from me, am I right? This video took ages because Strikers is pretty hefty. Promise I haven't been slacking. Also, if I sound kind of off in this video, it's because I'm sick. I'm feeling fine now. It's just I got this congestion, but I wanted to get this video done. So, more content soon, and love ya. Mwah.